Welcome to Go Camp. I am so glad you're here. I'm Aurora LaRay. I am traveling with my furry face pride and joys, Paco, Atlas, and Rain. We call it Coachmen Freelander, home sweet home, on the road. In this episode, we are talking Dodge City, Kansas. We'll be covering Wright Park, Miss Kitty, Secret Cities, Boot Hill, and more. We are checked into the Dodge City KOA. It's in the perfect location for Dodge City adventuring. Within the park, there's access to this huge dog park. There's walking trails, city park. We're in the heart of it. I can walk to restaurants. I can walk to the Boot Hill Museum. The sites are nice and level. I'm excited. Two things that you should know when coming to Dodge City. This KOA does sell out, especially during rodeos or any big event, so plan ahead. And the tornado sirens go off in Dodge City every Wednesday at noon. High noon, that is. So I've been working on a new song. It's called Gulf Coast Tantrums. It is inspired by my Paco, my oldest son. Paco has these temper tantrums when he doesn't want an adventure to end. Like, he just puts on the brakes. Like, it's not over. An adventure is not over until Paco says it's over. So we were just recently in Panama City Beach, and we're hanging out at the Pier Park Dog Beach, which is very fun. It's very pretty. It's time to go. It had been time to go an hour earlier, but I am a dog mom pushover. So he won't leave. Like, he's refusing to use his legs. So I pick him up. He's 60 pounds. This always gets us attention, like the kind of attention that I don't really want, just carrying the 60-pound dog. He's got his crazy eyes. Like, he doesn't want to leave eyes. I have my crazy, I'm pretty annoyed eyes on as I carry him dead weight up the beach with about 50 plus tourists staring at us. One of those tourists thought that I was actually stealing Paco and called the police. This is not the first time that something like that has happened. Police have been called on us 4 times. Luckily, Instagram always proves that he and I have been carrying each other around for the past 6 years. So anyway, this is called Gulf Coast Tantrums, dedicated to my eldest son, Paco. Went for a walk with Mom on the beach, 4 paws in the sand next to her big feet. We saw some jellies and a manatee. Glad she sprayed me no sand fleas. Mom said it's time to go. I said, oh, wolf you. Gulf Coast tantrums, Gulf Coast tantrums means you ain't going nowhere, 'cause I ain't going nowhere. You can try and bribe me, but it ain't gonna work. Strolling on the boardwalk down by the swamp, saw an alligator sitting on a cypress stump. He started swimming through the slime. He said, jump on in for a fine time. But Mom said it's time to go. I said, oh, wolf you. Gulf Coast tantrums, Gulf Coast tantrums means you ain't going nowhere, 'cause I ain't going nowhere. You can try and bribe me, but it ain't gonna work. We was kicking at the county pier. Everybody drank too much beer. The sea turtles came to check out our skills. All those tourists filled our case with bills. But Mom said it's time to go. I said, oh, wolf you. Gulf Coast tantrums, Gulf Coast tantrums means you ain't going nowhere, 'cause I ain't going nowhere. You can try and bribe me, but it ain't gonna work. Gulf Coast tantrums, Gulf Coast tantrums means you ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. You can try and bribe me. Hey, Paco, you want some cheese? But it is gonna work. I'll get it. Stop number 1, Boot Hill Museum. In 1872, 2 cowboys camped on a hillside just west of Dodge City. They had a gunfight. One, well, he found himself dead. The other guy, he fled. The dead man was unknown to anyone. He was wrapped in a blanket and buried where he fell, with his boots on. And so began Dodge City's Boot Hill. Listen, things went south for me on Front Street after I really enjoyed a sarsaparilla float at the ice cream parlor with my sarsaparilla popcorn from the gift store. Suddenly, I found myself on the thoroughfare in a shootout. Now, let me tell you, the bystanders were relieved Wyatt Earp and his posse were in town. Next thing I know, I find my face on a wanted poster in the museum. The law, I thought I left them in Panama City Beach. Finally caught up with me here in Dodge City. Guilty for having too much fun in Dodge City. Luckily, I have a posse of my own. Paco and Rain busted me right out. They are the true outlaws. Boot Hill Museum offers 2 shows with tons of stunts and shooting on Front Street. They are such a blast. They're so funny. For an additional fee, you can also enjoy dinner and a show at Miss Kitty's place, the Long Branch Saloon. The Long Branch Saloon in Dodge City. A right neighborly atmosphere. You'll drink to your partner and to the bar wander, where Kitty will buy you a beer. With a poker face like Paco has, I should have never taught him to play Spanish Monte, a very popular game in Dodge City. Now I'm going to teach you. Hopefully you can help me win my bed back. He's got me sleeping here on the table couch bed. It is not very comfortable. This game is called Spanish Monte. It originated in Spain, is fittingly named after a pile or mountain of cards. It was brought north by the Texas Cowboys. We take 2 cards from the bottom and 2 from the top. Place your bets. The gate card taken from the bottom is not the same suit as the cards in the layout, so the bets are mine, the dealer's. Let's play one more hand. Bets that are placed on the layout card containing a suit that matches the revealed gate card pay out 1-1. Look at that. Paco wins again. I'm going to be outside in a tent at this rate. We are on Dodge City, day 2. You cannot beat Long Branch Lagoon. It is walking distance from the Dodge City KOA. We spent the day floating around Cowboy Creek, a lazy river, but better because it's called Cowboy Creek. It takes you through Wrangler Rapids Wave Pool. The setup and the use of space is absolutely amazing. When you tire of relaxing, you can get your heart pumping on the Gunslinger, which is 300 feet of slide with 3 loopy-loops. Still want more? Doc's Plunge takes you up a vertical wall. So then you go back down and then you go back up and then back. It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. Fort Splash is adorable for the little cowboys and cowgirls. You have to make sure you spend some time at the old swimming hole. It is a competition-sized swimming pool. There's a rock climbing wall, diving platforms, more slides. See that splash? That's me. Concession stand food? Yes, please. I had a soft pretzel with cheese. Perfectly perfect. I snagged a bite of my mom's pizza. Also perfectly perfect. The thing that really surprises me, though, about Long Branch Lagoon is the price. A full day of fun, $6. You can't beat splashing around on a summer day for $6. They also offer discounts for children, seniors. They have membership programs. I told my mom 100 times, 101 times, how much I love Long Branch Lagoon. I love this place. I love this place. I love this place. We grabbed some vittles at Cowboy Capital Saloon and Grill. I am stuffed. We started off with a whiskey Rita from the Dodge City Distillery. They say that Dodge City was born from a barrel of whiskey. White vodka, agave syrup, lime, and lemon juice with a sprinkle of gunpowder. That's a whiskey Rita. There was not any gunpowder. That is just for shootouts and whiskey. I had the frying pan seared salmon with a sweet potato and cornbread. I have found the meal to answer the question. If you could only go to one restaurant and get the same meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? Well, it would be frying pan seared salmon at Cowboy Capital Saloon and Grill. What a relief. That question has been weighing on me years. This is a relatively new establishment opening in 2019. They converted an early 1900s mercantile building. I enjoy that, keeping the history of a building or space and breathing new life into it. It's so much better than leveling a beautiful, strong structure full of moments and memories and history just to replace it with something generic and probably not as sturdy. That is just my opinion, but I'm right.
Yes, ma'am.
Wright Park has it all and more. Named after Robert M. Wright, no account of Dodge City is quite complete without reference to him. In 1866, he was appointed post trader at Fort Dodge. During a long and prosperous career, he was a stockman, a freighter, a contractor, merchant, politician, farmer, county treasurer, state forest commissioner, postmaster, and representative of Ford County 4 times in the legislature, and once the mayor of Dodge City. No person has been more closely identified with the remarkable history of Ford County than Mr. Wright. All right, so let's talk about Wright Park. First of all, there's a huge dog park. So, traveling with Paco, Rain, and my fur brother and sister, Schnickel and Fritz, this was so wonderful. We got so many of our wiggles out. Paco and Rain ran and ran and ran and ran. It was seriously wonderful. You can access the dog park at Wright Park or through the Dodge City KOA. And the Wright Park bandshell. Constructed by the Works Progress Administration in 1934, the WPA was an American New Deal agency founded by Franklin D. Roosevelt and Harry Hopkins. It employed millions of people looking for jobs to carry out public work projects like public buildings, roads, bridges, trails, like the list goes on and on and on. From 1935 to 1943, 8.5 million people were employed by this project. I've lost count of how many places I've visited that are homes to these amazing WPA projects, from a bridge near where I grew up to a trail system in Portal, Arizona. They're everywhere and still in use, strong as ever. So the bandshell is fantastic. The acoustics, I have never sounded so good. I'm a big fan of Dolly Parton. Her music, her style, her grace. I'm not very good with hair and makeup. Like, this is not a choice. Like, this is a lack of skill. I was inspired by Dolly to class things up a little bit. So I went out and I bought a wig. I thought, this is going to be so great. I'm instantly stage ready. The one and only time I wore that wig on stage, I was in Chicago. It stayed on top of my head for almost 10 minutes before it hit the ground, skipped a couple times, slid into the man in the front row's lap. So here I am on stage with a knee-high pantyhose on my head, looking like a bank robber, trying to act like I did it all on purpose. It's like it's part of the act. I haven't been back to Chicago since. I'm way too embarrassed. So I spoke to a gentleman who works at United Way of Dodge City, and we were talking about Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. It's the coolest thing. The goal is to inspire a love for reading by gifting books for free to children from birth to age 5 through shared funding by Dolly Parton and local community partners like the United Way of Dodge City. So our conversation just kind of took me back. It brought back memories, very fond memories of Book It. If you're not familiar with Book It, your teachers would give you like these little stars for each book that you read. And once you hit 5, you got your very own personal panned pizza from Pizza Hut. The class who read the most books got a pizza party and sometimes a trip to Skateland. I've always loved to read and been a little bit sort of super competitive. So if you were lucky enough to be in my class, we were getting that pizza party. Like, my mom had to make me extra copies of the little hot air balloon worksheets that you would write your book reports in. I was like a little reading machine. One more thing about the bandshell. The Dodge City Cowboy Band was formed in 1879 by Chalky Beeson, a former sheriff and businessman. The band consisted of 6 to 8 talented cowboys with all brass instruments. They played in the evenings in front of the Long Branch Saloon at a time when cattle were being driven to the wickedest city in America. Their first show was played on the balcony of Robert Wright's store. You can enjoy performances by the current Dodge City Cowboy Band Tuesdays in June and July at the bandshell. It seems perfectly fitting that the band plays in the park honoring Mr. Wright. This is the longest running band that continues to play concerts in the United States. You've got to see them play. Our time here is going too fast. Have you ever walked into a place and you just know your breakfast is going to be fantastic? Well, that's Miss Kitty's Cafe. I recommend hanging your hat, loosening that belt buckle. You are going to want seconds possibly thirds. I bet you never heard old Marshall Dillon say, Miss Kitty, have you ever thought of running away? Settling down, would you marry me? She'd have said yes in a New York breakfast. I guess not. Breakfast, awesome. Cute decor, friendly staff. Big thanks to the lady at the visitor center who suggested Miss Kitty's Cafe. It was French toast all day. I love that French toast so much. I would marry it in a New York minute. She'd have said yes in a New York minute. They never tied the knot. His heart wasn't in it. He just stole a kiss as he rode away. I can't recommend taking the Dodge City walking tour enough. This is an amazing opportunity to learn, and if you're traveling on a budget, this is 100% free. You just pick up your map at the visitor center and put on your walking boots. These boots are made for exploring. There are 79 points of interest on this 3-mile loop. I don't want to spoil the tour talking about all of the stops, but I do want to share a few. Okay, so you'll find the James Nusser star on the Dodge City Trail of Fame. You may remember him as Dodge City's town drunk Louie on Gunsmoke. He had played multiple roles on the radio version Gunsmoke, but joined the television cast during its 6th season. Fans adored him. At the time, most television drunks were played very comically, and he just brought a believable and very grounded element to the part, and that was mostly to do with his lifelong struggle with alcohol. La Salsa Man is a 26-foot tall sculpture created by Dennis Hopper. I love this kind of stuff. If I had a penny for every picture I have with a Muffler Man, Bob's Big Boy, and now La Salsa Man, I would be a rich woman. I will make a U-turn on a freeway if I spot a giant coffee pot, world's largest pistachio, huge shovel, dinosaur. It's a problem. El Capitan commemorates the Texas Longhorns who gave Dodge City its place in history as the queen of the cowtowns. Longhorns are descendants of Spanish cattle brought to Mexico in the 1600s. Between 1875 and 1886, over 4 million head were driven up the trail to the Santa Fe Railroad in Dodge City. At the Dodge City Santa Fe Depot, don't miss the sundials. Built in 1897, reconstructed in 1928. One dial is in Central, the other is in Mountain Time for railroad passengers. I would have been so frantic about missing my train. Like, I'm hysterical at the airport, like checking the departure screens. I can't imagine my travel anxiety with sundials. Did you know there's a city within a city in Dodge City? This is really cool, and I had no idea. A small community grew on the eastern outskirts of Dodge City. Immigrants from Mexico came seeking a better life and steady employment. Most found it working for the railroad. This tiny city within the city was called Mexican Village. It thrived from the beginning of the 20th century until 1955. The railroad agreed to allow tenants to settle on railroad land as long as the head of the household was employed by the Santa Fe. The village was self-sufficient with a grocery store, pool hall, dance hall, school, church. There was no system of government. Citizens basically just stepped up as leaders. Community members filled in as doctors, civil servants, real estate agents, midwives, and so on. At the time, the village and Dodge City were separated by the rail yard, right? Along with racial tension and cultural differences, things weren't perfect. And at the start, the village was very similar to Dodge City. It was a home to rowdy young men before families moved in. In fact, the village had a very, very similar reputation to that of Dodge City. During World War II, as the Santa Fe began to transition from steam to diesel locomotives, needing fewer employees, folks from the village began to move on. By 1955, the site was condemned. But for more than 5 decades, the village was a home. I have a lot of problems with flirting. I'm very awkward with it. I get weird. I don't blink. I had a friend tell me that I hit on dudes like Freddy Krueger. I was like, oh my God, I wish I could get into their dreams, but I can't. I've tried. I Googled. Freddy Krueger keeps his secret secret. But I did end up buying Freddy Krueger's red and black knit sweater. So cute. I can't wear it in the fall without someone thinking I'm dressed up as Kurt Cobain's ghost. Oh, but this whole thing made me realize I need a gimmick, a flirting gimmick. I had a light bulb moment. I'm gonna learn Spanish. It's a beautiful language, very romantic. People sound sexy speaking Spanish. Muy caliente. So Paco and I were out for a walk. We see this guy. He's coming towards us. He is muy guapo. Muy guapo. He gets a little closer. I say, tienes una sonrisa muy bonita. You've got a beautiful smile. He's intrigued. He replies, ¿Te dolió cuando te caíste del cielo? Did it hurt when you fell from heaven? Paco, I'm going to get you a new dad. So I roll my shoulders back. I put on my sexiest face. Estoy embarazada, es tuyo. I'm pregnant. It's yours. I've never seen a man run so fast. He shouts, No hablo! That's it. He just doesn't speak any languages. I miss him. The Duolingo language learning app really let me down in love, but for more practical reasons, I've been learning Klingon. Dodge City has always been a favorite stop of mine. Something about East meeting West is just magical. When I see signs for Dodge City, I know that adventure is on the horizon. I love this place. I keep finding myself drawn here time and time and time again. Thanks so much for joining us. I love sharing our adventures with all of you. Go Camp is now available on the iHeartRadio app and wherever you enjoy your podcasts. You can also watch our episodes on YouTube. And please subscribe so you don't miss our next adventure. If you would like to connect, I would love that. You can find all of my social links at auroralarray.com. Have a wonderful day and many, many, many happy adventures.